All right, once again we are live. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to all at MUFC Red Devils NCR. I'm your host Delvin, and I have with me Mojo Sir, Parth Bhai, and Abhijit Bhai with us tonight. Warm welcome, gentlemen. Hope you're doing well. Everything's good. And why shouldn't it be? After the result we had last night, I think we have every reason to be optimistic. We have every reason to be smiling and in good spirits as well. Yesterday's results sees us all but secure our passage to the finals of the Carabao Cup after beating Nottingham Forest 3-0 in the first leg, and with a three-goal cushion and the second leg to be played at Old Trafford, I don't think I see anything bar a catastrophic turn of events where we are not going through the final. But as of now, I think it's safe to say that we would be participating in the final and final the Carabao Cup for the first time since 2017. However, this game also is a significant moment because we are currently right at the midpoint of our season from where we started off, and it's safe to say that a lot has transpired in this period. We've gone through a roller coaster. I mean, Man United nowadays is a roller coaster, irrespective of whether we play well or not. With the amount of traction and with the amount of scrutiny that falls upon United at every single day for every little activity which goes on, it's safe to say that we have also been through a roller coaster. So, Moses sir, let's start with this mid-season review. I mean, if you look at this season, for till the semi-final first leg, what were your expectations entering in the season with a new manager and his new staff? Uh, and his players not yet come in. Like, this is just before the start of the season. I mean, this is before the season started. And what do you think the team? How do you think the team has gone on since now? Your expectations, and do you think that the team has performed over the expectations that we had? Because I think almost the entirety of the fan base was more than happy to give the manager time, because like he said in his pre-match conferences that a coach cannot do magic. You cannot expect a coach to be magical and just a flick of a wand and everything is right. So, based on that and based on the expectations you had this season, do you think that at the halfway point we are anywhere close to meeting those expectations, or do you think have we done more better than what we thought that we would be?
Okay, so look, as far as expectations are concerned, jab season start hua tha, uh, I wouldn't use the word expectations because ever since Sir Alex retired, that expectation word has been used way too often as far as United fans are concerned. And every year and a half or every 2 years, we've been chucked on a new manager, and the board has sent around those fancy statements about building for the future, the new project, the philosophy, the United DNA, और पता नहीं क्या क्या बकवास हुई है पिछले 10 साल में हम लोग के साथ. So we've been sold so much mediocrity shit that I went into the month of August 2022, rather, uh, not expecting much, to be honest, because yes, all of us wanted Eric Ten Hag as a new manager rather than Pochettino. Uh, but having said that, I hadn't really watched much of Eric Ten Hag's football. I don't think many of us would have. Not many of us go around following Ajax or Eredivisie for that matter. So I started the season with no expectation. But what did get me off my seat in the last week or 10 days of the transfer window was signing Casemiro. And I think a couple of weeks before then, we signed Martinez and Eriksen somewhere in between. So Anthony, I hadn't seen much of. So I really can't say he um, built my expectations in any which way. So I would say that beginning of the season, I didn't expect much because I've been through that ride again. I mean, not again, but number of times. Club giving a full-time job to Oli was probably the biggest so-called speed breaker we had, if there was anything like a turnaround which was expected. Um, And nothing wrong with Oli. Let's be honest. Uh, the board at that time, just so to speak, read the room and gave Oli the job because Oli was at the wheel for the first 12 or 13 games. And for the way we were playing, for the way the style of football had become, you just kind of thought that this might just happen. But we very soon realized it wasn't to be. Um, something in me is, I mean, forget it. So let's just move on. So yeah, when you say expectations, I got into the season with not much, uh, which was then turned around to a certain level of positivity because of the three signings I mentioned: Ericsson, Casemiro, and Martinez. I didn't know much about Anthony then. Third, it again took a knockout punch literally out of me when we lost to Brighton. Absolutely soulless performance at Old Trafford. The first game of the season, you would want the team to be up for it, but nothing happened. And let's not even get to the Brentford game. Brentford game was an embarrassment of the highest order. So that knocked the life out of me. I was like, damn, we are back to not even square one. We're actually going back now. Um, and then that Liverpool fight, the way we came out versus Liverpool from the first whistle to the final whistle, I was like, that might not have been the most prettiest performance of the season, but was definitely the one which kind of kickstarted the season. Imagine going into the fourth game or being at 0 points after 9 games. The daggers would have been out against Eric Ten Hag, like at a flick of a finger. So now we have stabilized the ship since. I would say that for us to have gone on a decent run post the World Cup, and for us to have had decent spells between the City defeat and the Aston Villa defeat, um, we might not have been playing some spectacular football, but then when you're in the process of changing things, you're in the process of adapting yourself to a new manager. When the new manager, despite the good signings, according to me, that he was given, but they were not necessarily his first choice signings. So I would say that it's been a decent first half, but as we discuss the half season analysis, we do that for the remainder part of this video. There'll be other aspects we will talk about. So, but for what you asked for, I got into the season with no expectations. From where we are, I I'm just keeping myself cautious because we've been through this journey for the last 12 years, for the last 10 years, and while I feel that this doesn't seem like a knockout that we will face this time, but I'm just going to keep myself guarded and say that let's just go game by game.
I think at this point in time where you can see that there is transition, in spite of the fact that it's already been 6 months into the job, I think cautious optimism is the way to go. Because I think in spite of the good stuff that has happened over the past few months, everyone is well aware of the fact that all it takes is just one bad result against a team which is not doing that well, and the daggers will come out flying once again. And we have been playing functional football so far, which has been doing the trick for most of the time. However, there will be a time where functional won't cut it, and we will have to take a step ahead and we have to go that one notch further. But for now, I think you've summed up your views on the topic pretty well, and I think that is the way to go. I'm also taking it game by game, especially after the fact that we had the talk of that premature title challenge thing. I mean, not us, but then a considerable section of the fans talking about a title challenge when we
No,
beat City.
Delvin, and sorry to interrupt, but in a way, I wouldn't blame those fans because for a moment, just consider the fact, and I still believe that, that Thierry Henry's statement that came out after the game,
Yeah,
and you and I discussed that particular thing well before the Arsenal game. That had we had Casemiro not suspended, had we had Delo playing, and had we had a week's rest like Arsenal had, we would have beaten Arsenal. Trust me, we would have. We would have turned them over. And then you're looking at a scenario, oh God, maybe those fans were not necessarily wrong. And for the Premier League to come out and apologize, I mean, sorry for the language, but they can go fuck themselves, man. We had a clear run at this Arsenal game and they fucking messed it up for us. And then for an apology, I don't give a shit for an apology.
I think at this point, a Premier League apology is as good as a joke because it's come
Yeah,
out pretty
seriously, yeah.
frequently. It's actually come
Yeah,
out pretty frequently in the past few months or so for different teams. I think Everton got one, Arsenal got
yeah,
one, City
yeah.
got one. A lot of apologies coming. I mean, doesn't make a lot of sense. And might as well take it with a pinch of salt and just move forward. And like Eric Ten Hag said, we have to control what is in our control. We cannot do anything that is. We cannot do anything to a factor which is entirely out of our realm of control or possibility. And what Ten Hag is doing is he's doing the things which are under his control very well, and the team have taken a leaf out of his book and are following the same thing, which is good for us in this season and will definitely provide a good foundation, provided those expectations are met come the end of this season. What happens in the second half of the season is still anyone's good guess, but for now we can hold the head a little bit up high with the promise of maybe this thing could become much more better than what it is. And like Kushagra says that this is one of the best seasons in recent times. Partha, let's talk about this statement a little bit. I mean, best season, I think from a performance wise and from the way that the players are improved from how improved the players are from last season, Kush is not wrong. This is one of the best seasons in recent time because you see this team playing as a team. We spoke about Ole being our manager the first 12, 13 games. They were playing like a team. But then after he was given the permanent gig, United became a team that solely used to rely on brilliance of individuals. Not There was no cohesion, there was no togetherness, and there was no inkling of a team playing together. It was just that one of them would raise their hands up at any moment in time, and then boom, the goals would come. But it was a spark of individual brilliance that led to it. But however, in the previous season, Kushaga also has a point because of the atmosphere and the conditions that are in and around the club now. If you cut to last season, it wasn't like this. The club was a hotbed of toxicity, player clicks, player disputes, players downing, literally downing tools as a man at the manager, refusing to play the way they do. I mean, these are professional players, international pedigree. All of them are regular international starters for their international sides, and yet you see players doing this, not something which is conducive for overall growth of a club. And however, cut to 8 months from there, and now you look at this team. This team is never been as close as a unit as I've ever seen before. You have players who are playing for the badge. You have players who are connecting with the fans. This is something which we've not seen for a very long time. And you see a manager who's trying to get the best out of all the players. You see him players raising their games to the occasion. Someone as limited as wan-bissaka. I mean, Mojo sir, Abhijit bhai. We've often had these conversations about certain players being one-dimensional. And wan-bissaka always used to be at the top of our list. And now you see him, he's sending Rodri for a kebab, he's sending Cancelo to the hot dog stall, he's sending Bernardo Silva to school once again. You see these things and then you wonder like, wow, what is happening here? Like Mojo spoke about false dawns. It's been quite a long time that United fans have been burnt by the possibility of false dawns. Every year there has been a run and like we are back, and only to see us crashing down in the worst way possible. But like Kush said, could this actually be the season where United has actually turned a corner, and will this actually stay for long? What do you make of Kush's statement, and what do you feel that is this change there here for the long term to stay?
Well, if you ask any United fan 8 months ago that we will be in the Carabao Cup semi-final and we will be cementing our position in the top four in the Premier League for some amount of time. Right now, I think we are well ahead of Tottenham with a game in hand. So I think we have cemented that spot for quite a while now, and we will say that we are also alive in all the competition. Be it Europa League, we are playing Barcelona. It will be a tough game, but we are alive there also. We will be playing FA Cup versus Reading, I think, on Sunday night. So if you will say all these things to a United fan 8 months ago, he will be taking these all things with both the hands. He will saying, "यार ये तो मतलब बहुत ज्यादा अच्छा हो गया, we will be beating City inside 8 months, we will be going toe to toe versus Arsenal, we will beating Liverpool. So I think this season is a massive turnaround because of some big reasons. First, the mentality, as you said, that Ten Hag has brought that mentality. And I feel more than Ten Hag, the players that he signed, as Mojo sir said, that Casemiro, Lisandro Martinez, and Ericsson, all they are playing for the international sides, and they are elite level players, and they will bring a elite level mentality in the team. They will bring that winning mentality in the team. That no problem, we are down, we are 1-0 down, 2-0 down, we can come back to the match. So we can see all these kind of mentality against Arsenal also. That is those are the toppers, and I feel that this mentality is being shown by these players on the ground. They are playing as a unit. They are playing as a team. They are believing. We were 1-0 down against a City till 78th minute, and we won the match 2-1. So first, the mentality, the elite mentality that the players and the manager, credit to both of them, to bring to that Manchester United team. Second, the Manchester United DNA, to never die, to never give up attitude that at the time of Sir Alex Ferguson we had. At any point of time, we can change them. Even in that injury time also, we won that UCL in 1999 versus Man Munich. Well, I haven't seen that match, but yes, we have won that in that injury time. We scored that 2 goals, so that we brought that United DNA. We can see that Erik Ten Hag is investing in that youth, uh, be it Jadon Sancho. He's protecting him. He's saying that yes, give him time, 2 months, 3 months. He's playing Anthony. Even if he's a single dimension player, he's not doing that well, but he's backing him also. He has backed Rashford throughout the season, when most of the fans were saying yes, sell him for 80 million, 90 million, 100 million to PSG. But he backed the youth. He plays with that youth. He likes to play that interesting, entertaining football. But at the same time, he doesn't back off when he needs to change his tactics. When he needs to change the tactics to that attacking play or winning the second balls, he has set some rules. He has laid some discipline rules that we have seen also, that if Rashford, who is the man at the moment, who wasn't following that rules, he was late in some meeting, so he was dropped from that squad. So I feel that all these things, United and Ten Hag is bringing that mentality back. I don't know about the rest of the season what will happen. We can go down to fifth, sixth, seventh position in Premier League if we don't play well. But right now, the way we are playing, it is high time that we should believe in this team. That this team, given the time and a couple of more transfer windows to Ten Hag, this team can do wonders. And there is a quite mentality of United and United on owners also, that हम तब तक प्लेयर्स नहीं खरीदते जब तक ऐसा मतलब वो रिवॉल्ट टाइप नहीं आ जाता. Because I still remember the Casemiro's and Anthony signing. There was a protest going on in Old Trafford at that time. That was a massive protest against the Glazers, and that's why उन्होंने panic buy में Casemiro and Anthony जल्दी जल्दी खरीद लिया, giving a lot more money. So इस विंडो में भी we haven't brought any player. एक गोलकीपर लिया, which is our backup goalkeeper, and एक Weghorst लिया, and that too on loan. So I feel this mentality needs to be changed. अगर आपको, if you want to be a team that can challenge for all the trophies, that can bring back the glory days for Manchester United, this mentality needs to be changed. Because we are seeing Arsenal, we are seeing Spurs. I think Spurs have already signed two more players. Arsenal have signed two more players in winter window, and we can see Chelsea. Chelsea is going all guns blazing, buying 4, 6, 7 players. I don't know, all of them they are buying. Be City, they are investing at the right time. But in at United, when the time is good, no one is investing in the club. But when the time is bad, we are losing 3, 4 matches. Player comes, panic buy होता है, और उसके बाद और पुराने में जो हमारा जो सक्सेस नहीं हो पाया, जहां पर हम लोग इतने सारे जो हम लोगों ने प्लेयर्स खरीद लाए, आई डोंट थिंक वो ओले से पूछ के खरीदे गए होंगे या वो मोरिनियो से पूछ के खरीदे होंगे। मोरिनियो क्लियरली सेड दैट ही नीड्स अ वेरी क्वालिटी डिफेंडर जो उसको नहीं मिला। पिछले से पिछले साल भी हम लोगों ने शायद से समर में अमाद को और फकुंदो पाइस्ती को ऐसे ही साइन कर लिया पैनिक बाय के चलते। पूरा सीजन हम लोगों ने सैंचो चेस किया एंड देन अचानक से हम लोग पेलिस्ट्री साइन कर लिया, अमाद दियालो साइन कर लिया। सो दीज पैनिक बाइज नीड्स टू बी restricted and we should plan way ahead एंड मैनेजर्स को अपनी साइनिंग्स मिलनी चाहिए। अदरवाइज आई डोंट थिंक कि कोई भी मैनेजर एरिक टेन हैग हो या कोई भी हो, आई डोंट थिंक कि कोई भी इस यूनाइटेड टीम को ग्लोरी डेज में वापस पहुंचा सकेगा। मैनेजर्स को अपने प्लेयर चाहिए ही चाहिए होंगे।
I totally agree. I mean, it is now that Pelestri is finally getting to see first team minutes in a United shirt. I mean, what this is these are his what first 2 or 3 appearances for the club in the space of what 2.5 years since he's been signed, and so that's how it is. But I think it's again a case of going step by step. Because considering the fact that there is a cloud of uncertainty hanging around the club at the moment, I think it also automatically ties the manager's hands to make sure it basically says that for now you'll have to do with what is there on offer. Uh, and if at all there is any option, you will have to feed on scraps at least for the short term, uh, until and unless the situation is totally resolved. Uh, so Abhijit bhai, Amit bhai has given the rating for the mid-season up until now for United as 7/10, which is a solid season but not a spectacular season. What are your thoughts on that? Do you agree with Amit bhai's rating, or do you have a different view as to up until now have United performed better, or have United performed a little less than what a 7/10 consists in your mind?
I think Amit Bhai's rating is spot on. I think 7 is a good rating, a solid rating, I would say. United have performed way better. At the starting of the season, I just felt that we at mid-season we would be at fifth or sixth. I was not expecting much, but because the player they were going in that mentality things and everything, that character, they were very very low at a very low, and suddenly it will not happen anything. That magic will not happen. But way the Eric Ten Hag has really changed the mentality, the character, and they trusted every player and bought everything and utilized that everything from them. That is spot on. Manchester United is, I saw when I started the United, it was all about mentality, character, that passion for the badge. That United, I just saw some glimpse of in Mourinho era, but later on I didn't see anything. I was, totally, I was barred from the Manchester United from 2013. That I left Manchester United not to see that, because it was very very harsh to see. But still I was backing for Manchester United. But now after so many years, I see Manchester United giving that positive vibe, that what I saw in 2005, 6, 7 eras, where it was on totally peak. But this process, the way he turned out everything, he gave the plan for every player. Every player trusted his process. He coached every player. The player faith in every plan in his team. And everything, he took it in by one, and he's changing it. In last year, even in the group chat, I used to tell that we need a mentality. And as Parth Bhai said, yes, mentality does matter. You look at Newcastle United, they just a change of ownership and a mentality. They are now they're on the third place on Champions League spot. The same applies for us. We had that ability, just we needed a mentality and a character from the players, and he totally changed it. That we gained from him. He was experienced. He knew that what was to implement, and he came to us. Imagine, I think when Ole was sacked, and we were still on Brendan Rodgers, and I think Conte was there. Eric Ten was so close to Tottenham even to sign for them. I was very frightened for that for a moment that they may get a world class coach because I have read so much report that he was so good, but he chose us, which is I thank for him that he came for United, and thanks to Van der Sar even because he just put us some push to United that you go to a club that you gave has given something for us. Coming to this season, I would say every player has improved, and it's just a start of a era for us because if we were in the dark side, now it's a day, and it is a brighter for us. Brighter days are coming for us, and and I don't see we are going down the season because every player have faith in them. Everyone is complementing each other, which is a good. Last year we were see dressing rooms so much leaking anything, so many news comings up, fights, everything. That all toxicity has gone, and we are coming into the progress, trusting the process, and we are on the right track.
I totally agree with what you said. Mentality is being instilled, and manager has got us on the right track as far as the morale and the personnel is concerned. Melissa, talking about the players, I mean, there is a huge change in the way the players have been approaching this compared to the last season, say, or compared even to the season before. You can literally see everyone talking and waxing lyrical about the coaching that they've received. Uh, so let us focus our attention on the players now. What are your thoughts on player performances? And let's talk about the three studs of the mid-season so far. Studs in the sense that these three players have been a cut above the rest as far as player performances are concerned. Like coming in, putting in a minimum of 8 or 9 out of 10 performances game in game out. Who do you think are the three studs? You can rate it from 3 to 1, and then you can go and talk about them in detail. So, who, according to you, are those three players who have uh, compared to last season, have been just absolutely amazing this season?
Okay, look, when you talk about how players have changed, I think the first sign that Eric Ten Hag had to put down as a manager was that he's a tough cookie. He's not like one of those Ollie kind of softies, that वो typical वो पाकिस्तान cricket team का जो आता है ना, the boys played well and blah 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 बकवास. So you needed a manager who's going to come in and start talking sense. And the best part was, if I could just take it back to Eric Ten Hag for about 30 seconds, was that the English press couldn't deal shit with him because he was like one word or a one sentence reply manager, and they couldn't build the hysteria that they would about dressing room leaks and the culture and the lowest performance, this and the other. He just went with his football talk that he wanted people to get the message of. So the English press basically shut the traps there and then. Now coming to the players, I think where Ten Hag got it absolutely right was, which Ollie didn't have the balls to do, was to drop Maguire. Maguire starting despite being a shit horse the entire season of last year, and then his family or his sister coming out with all sorts of quotes about him getting the criticism unjustified, this that, and the other. No, fans worldwide have enough evidence to suggest that you are absolutely shit, and Maguire was. I mean, he was playing as a defender as if he's on a fucking ice skating rink. पता नहीं कहाँ पैर मार रहा है, बॉल कहाँ जा रही है, अपने प्लेयर्स को टैकल कर रहा है 6 यार्ड में, अपना साला वो he's getting nutmegged. I mean, for Christ's sake. So the first step, which I think really got the dressing room thinking, was that here was a manager who, despite the hype that the board would have pressurized upon Ollie to keep continuing picking Maguire, was that he dropped Maguire. Second thing that happened was he let players have the time to recover. For example, Pulkit just made a message that sent a message that um, I think about Aaron Wan-Bissaka was put on a separate program like Sancho has been put on now, and it reaped benefits which we can see in Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So hopefully Sancho is going to be back a far better player. Let's go back to Rashford. Rashford was being put through hell by Oli and being played through his injury. Look what it did to his confidence. Look what it did to his injury. And now look at him, because he was given time to recover. He wasn't rushed back quickly from the injury. Forget about quickly back from the injury. Oli rushed him back while he was injured. So, I mean, Eric Ten Hag to give players time to recover, not only from their injuries, but from their mental issues as well, which we will find out as Sancho comes back and more is revealed what happened. So he's been a brilliant man manager. And the best part, to top it all up, was how he handled the entire Ronaldo saga. Even if Ronaldo in that interview said nothing about Eric Ten Hag, I would have wanted Ronaldo out because you spoke against my club. And nobody can try and justify that how well informed Ronaldo and his entourage are about the things about the club that he's about to sign into. Ronaldo couldn't possibly come around and say that things in United were all rosy. His entourage didn't tell him that it's all rotten from inside. He knew it. And he was coming here because Juventus won't pay 500,000 pounds per week. He came here because we could. He came here because no other European club would pay 500,000 pounds a week. So the way he handled the Ronaldo saga, and that Eric Ten Hag came on top, and that he maintained that respect that a club should have, that no player is bigger than the club, actually then made everybody sit back and take notice that this guy is here to manage the club the way the club should be run. And to top it off, if you want to talk about something recent, for something as basic as, जो पहले हल्के में ले लिया जाता था ना, हम स्कूल में होते थे, सॉरी मैडम लेट हो गया, सुबह बस लेट थी, Rashford didn't make it to training, the guy was dropped, and was dropped for a match which you needed to win to continue your run. Fine, he came into the second half and scored, but that is a lesson for everybody. I was just going through a PPT I got from one of my friends who's a motivational speaker and a consultant. He said your motivation can keep going up and down depending upon the phases you go through across different spheres and different kind of days you have. But if you have maintained a discipline, your motivation will always remain high. So discipline is critical. उसका एक बड़ा exponential curve होता है discipline का for what the result it leads to. So the way he's handled Maguire, the way he's handled players' injuries or their mental issues, the way he handled Ronaldo, the way he handled the Rashford's small issue has meant that players have started taking him seriously. A Manchester United manager who wasn't being taken seriously, as far as I recall, goes back to the Mourinho times when on that Pogba and Mourinho spat, the club stood by Pogba. I mean, that was जिसे कहता ना एक बीज बो दिया था एक सबसे बड़ी मुसीबत का, which had to be taken out, and that got taken out in the Ronaldo saga, which is absolutely brilliant. And now, if I was to come to your question about the second part, which was about which players have had what sort of a season, I think Casemiro has been a fucking tank, man. He has been वो ad आता ना गुजरात अंबुजा का सीमेंट का, ये दीवार टूटेगी नहीं. He's fucking that. He just won't let go. He just won't let things go through.
I think Eric Ten Hag has described him as quite literally the cement between the bricks. So I think your analogy of Ambuja cement is spot on there.
Well, there you go then. But then you've had Martinez. I mean, to all those fucking pundits at Sky Sports or those British televisions, man, go take a fucking hike. Height choti hai. Are you bloody kidding me? Height choti hai. I mean, the guy has been a rock in the defense, and how well the Martinez and Varane partnership has gelled, it's just unbelievable. I mean, of course, they're not at the level which we would like them to be or the likes of Vidic or Rio or Bruce or Pallister that we saw previously. But then, having said that, these two, if they continue the way they are and they continue, getting clean sheets the way they are, I mean, that's a solid partnership that's developing. So Martinez has been good in terms of new signings. Casemiro has been good. Ericsson has been brilliant, although and I don't blame him. Look, he has medical issues. We all know that. But when Ericsson goes through 5 or 6 continuous games, his game does drop off after 45, 50 minutes. So let's not blame it entirely on his
I
ability.
think it's fair that we cut him some slack considering the fact that he was flatlining 2 years ago. So yeah, I think we can cut him some slack here. And you're speaking about Martinez and Varane not being to the level of Vidic and Rio. I mean, fair enough. It's not that. Varane and Martinez are actually World Cup winners, and so obviously not. I mean, if you try to get what I'm saying,
no, I get your point. I get your point. What I'm trying to emphasize is that as a club partnership, well, so they have a few steps to go where you can start calling them that so-called legendary pair, and.
Yes,
But in terms of improved players, you can't take it away from Rashford. You can't take it away from Diego Dalot. Bruno has been given that license to roam around anywhere, literally. So he's as effective as he always has been. So yeah, for me, in terms of new signings, Casemiro, Martinez, absolute rocks.
Add Luke Shaw.
See, Luke Shaw has had good phases in between. Like he had a good phase just before the Euros. Then he had a good phase under Oli, I think the first year of Oli as well. Mourinho wrote him off. But you're right. Luke Shaw could be considered in that. But amongst the new signings, I would say Martinez and Casemiro, absolute tanks. Ericsson, a stable, consistent performer. In terms of the improved ones, I would say Rashford, Dalot, and like Parth said, Luke Shaw as well. And I want to throw this in and get whosoever is watching, or which would watch this video a little later. David De Gea has improved as well. His passing from the back, his coming out to cut out the crosses. Fine, he might not be claiming them, but for him to start playing as his so-called, पता नहीं क्या definition है यार modern goalkeeper की. हम जब से फुटबॉल देख रहे हैं हमें तो सिर्फ एक चीज पसंद आती है, पैंचो ने गोल बचाया नहीं बचाया, बस खत्म. So I mean, he's still improved. De Gea has improved. Those who don't agree with me, whatever. So that's where I am.
You ignored my boy Aaron wan-bissaka, sir. I'm pretty upset. You can't. He's cooking up one of the best redemption stories in United at the moment.
See, Delvin, I would agree with you that Aaron wan-bissaka would be amongst those who's improved the most, but you cannot actually say that. I mean, his biggest weakness still is defending his back post. He still hasn't got a clue about his back post or who's running past him at the back post. Arsenal scored their second goal from there.
Second goal?
And
the Saka goal?
First goal.
First goal.
Behind wan-bissaka.
Like I said, I didn't watch the Arsenal game, so I don't know which one was what. So I just watched the highlights. So the first goal, I mean, wan-bissaka was lost, and it's not the first time he's been lost. And so my only concern with Aaron wan-bissaka is that while his game has improved, that dribbling thing that he did against Man City, that was class. But his only thing is he needs to figure out his back post and be strong there.
He also made a sweet tackle for.
Yes, he saved the game against Palace with the tackle on Zaha.
With that sliding tackle.
I mean, he is one of my favorite defenders in the United shirt, and you could say anything, I will defend my boy right up until the end. So I will openly and shamelessly say that wan-bissaka has been one of the best players in United at the point. I might get slated for this. I'm all in for it, but I cannot leave the spider from Croydon out, and especially the way he's playing. Parthai, let's go in a similar way. Let's go on a similar wavelength. We've had some players performing above the rest. who do you think are the top three? You can include new signings as well, and you could include the players who've been playing in the club for a while as well. Who do you think are those top three performers of United and up until this point? You can talk about them and you can say why do you think that they are where they are at this moment.
So if you are talking about three players only, but I feel that everyone is performing, everyone is putting their foot forward. But
Yeah, but
if you
yeah,
are
let's talk about three. I mean, we just
three,
keep it
then
brief. Yeah,
I think on third I will take Bruno Fernandes because his off the ball work rate is so much high that right now if we put him in on market, I'm not saying that we should put him on market, but if we put him on market, then every top club will go for him, be it Real Madrid or Barcelona or Bayern Munich. Everyone will want to get Bruno Fernandes because his off the ball work rate is immense because he's running like he's pressing one player, then he's going to press the other player also who has got the pass. And talking about his goal involvements, I think he has done 4 or 5 assists, and he has done 3 or 4 goals. But his game is, I think, under Ten Hag system, his game is above those involvements, be it pressing or be it that combination play, be it providing passes, long balls to Rashford, because that makes a very deadly combination when Bruno throws the long balls to Rashford and Rashford runs behind any defender. That is a very deadly combination. And second, I think, is Casemiro. Casemiro is, as Mojo sir said, is he's cement, he's rock, and ये दीवार क्यों टूटती नहीं है, every team will be thinking that only because he is doing those crucial interceptions that results in attacks, which eventually sometimes gives us the goal. And he knows how to do that dirty play, which I don't think that हमारे पहले के किसी squad player में ऐसा था कि हाँ, he knows when to do that dirty play. He knows when to throw those sliding tackles on players, and he has got that mentality. He's that mentality monster. I think a few days back a video was viral of Casemiro when he was off the field for a minute or two versus City, and he was saying that I want to go as soon as possible to that team. So he's a mentality monster. He has changed the United squad completely. Secondly, Casemiro provides a very good help to Eriksen and Bruno, that they both don't have to do that much of defensive work. They don't have to care about that much about defensively, so they can provide that in those two players provide everything in that attacking area only. We have seen that versus Arsenal, that when McTominay was playing, both of them, Eriksen as well as Bruno, was given some defensive duties that they were doing that was restricting their game versus Arsenal. And McTominay is not up to the mark. He was good against Arsenal, but the Casemiro is the one who, मतलब कहते हैं ना कि मतलब ये एक प्लेयर है जो एक मेन टीम के लिए चाहिए, मतलब कि एक जो ट्रॉफी विनिंग टीम के लिए एक ऐसा सीडीएम चाहिए. We can't work out with McTominay. We have to get a player like Casemiro on board, and we have got that this season. And first, I think Rashford, the form he's in, he is writing his own story, because everyone was saying that he's on the same page as of Mbappe or Haaland, but he's not showing it. He's not working that much hard for it. But he has shown this time that yes, after I think the change came after that World Cup, after the performance that he gave for his national country. He was the top scorer over there. He proved many of his critics wrong, that he can play at that high level. He can score, he can provide those assists, he can dribble from the right as well as the left, and as from the middle also. And I think that Eric Ten Hag should be given the most credit for Rashford's improvement. And the point of Rashford is that he takes the ball over somewhere half line and he dribbles past, he runs, he dribbles past everyone. And we have seen those two goals last night also, and I think one against Charlton FC also, that he collects the ball somewhere around half line, and he runs and runs and runs, and he scored the goals. And the banger against Arsenal, those goals shows that how much confidence he is in right now. As Mojo sir said that uh, कॉन्फिडेंस बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होता है. लास्ट सीजन ही वाज प्लेइंग थ्रू हिज इंजरी, और ओले ने इसको रश किया, उसका पूरा कॉन्फिडेंस ही क्रैश आउट हो गया था बिकॉज उसका यूरो कप भी साइन नहीं गया था. ही मिस दैट क्रूशियल पेनल्टी इन द फाइनल, एंड आफ्टर दैट आप उसको रश कर रहे हो. तो आई फील उसके बाद जब इसको टाइम दिया गया, रैशफोर्ड हैज गॉट द टाइम, ही हैज गॉट द प्री सीजन दिस टाइम. एरिक टेन हैग हैज इन्वेस्टेड हिज टाइम on Rashford. He's doing wonders. So I think these are my top three players: Bruno, Rashford, and Casemiro.
Fair enough. Totally agree with your point of view. I mean, you can see the improvement in Rashford as well, and then you could go ahead and see what the other two players have been doing as well. Abhijit bhai, I'm sorry. Abhijit bhai, for every good performer, for every great performer, there are an equal or more number of bad performers in a side. It's common nature, and in United also there have been players who have not been pulling up their socks, who have not been performing up to the standards for the club as and when it is required. So who do you think are those who do you think are those three players up until this point who still have not hit the heights that they were expected to? Or put simply, they're just not cut out for a club of United stature. Who are those three players according to you?
I think first is Lindelof. Second, I think it's you can say sometimes Sancho, but Sancho is now in improved way, so I will not take his name. Even I would say I have out of the place. I don't go. I think Lindelof has, he has been degraded in his form. Donny van de Beek, because what he was the same player we played against 10 under 10. So these are the two players. Uh, I Perez was good, but loaning him was a good idea because he was not at the par, and I would say that these three performers, I would say Anthony Martial was also on that verse, but I didn't see that he progressed a little bit, and he was a main ingredient for that for the player. Even Ronaldo was a bad performer. He was good in some games, but totally was he was hindering the process progress for us. So these three players, I would say, degraded the performance for us. This I would say are the players. Also,
Right.
I just want to point out that only player which we have isn't improved is Phil Jones.
I think at this point you might as well
Mojo,
the lesson
Mojo,
the lesson
Mojo.
the man.
He's the only one player he's not improved. Every player has improved. He's the only player.
Hey,
I'm
he needs to
really
play.
amazed
He
that he's
needs
not played still.
he needs to play
भाई
to
साहब
improve.
भाई साहब जोन्स जोन्स वो दहेज है जो साला बीवी के साथ आया, उसका कुछ नहीं कर सकते तुम.
Jones
Sir,
is
he has to play.
Jones is United's equivalent of a cockroach in a nuclear disaster. Somehow always survives and has survived a host of managers and is still surviving. I think for that reason, credit has to be given to him. The man somehow always outstays his managers. Uh, he is that
Arun bhai,
employee.
one
He is
one player. Sorry to interrupt. One player still we have not discussed is Fred. The player has really improved it. We have just utilized in a better way instead of
exactly.
improving.
So yeah, I mean he's been like, see, the fact that we haven't mentioned Fred till now because he still remains an enigma for a lot of United fans. I mean, everyone knows what he's capable of, but everyone knows what he's not capable of as well. I mean, you can't entrust him to do a job, but then his biggest strength is his biggest weakness. That is his over eagerness to get into things. Uh, if he gets the momentum early on, he's going to be a cracking performer throughout the game. But the very over eagerness, which will mean that he misses a tackle or two, he misses a pass, he misses a basic move, then you're going to see a Fred that you don't want to see throughout the game. So the fact that he's over eager is a double-edged sword for us, and that is the reason why we don't talk much about him. Also because the fact that he's playing only for 20-25 minutes is also a big reason why you see that Fred has been doing so well, because that 20-25 minutes is at a time where Ten Hag has literally told him, go do whatever you want, whatever you do it best. That's a simple instruction which has been sent for Fred, and that's why we're seeing a much more evolved Fred. I mean, you can say that his ceiling is still the same, but the floor has increased for him as far as his performances are concerned. Mojo, coming to the season, there have been a lot of games where United have been. We've been a part of some really thrilling games where United have come out on top. But you would have to have one pick. If you had to have one pick, where you've seen United well and truly buying into Ten Hag's principles, or where you could see the glimpses of the United that used to dominate England throughout, like with such alarming ease, what would that game be? What would be your best game up until this season for United?
I think Spurs at Old Trafford. That day, we didn't let Spurs lay a finger on us. And it was as close to a flawless performance as I've seen United turn up against the top side ever since Sir Alex retired. We haven't had that kind of performance under Mourinho. The least said under Van Gaal and Ollie, the better. So that Tottenham game at Old Trafford, I would say we were close to almost being so perfect. The only thing missing was probably about another couple of goals. That was good. But one game that I think kickstarted our season was that Liverpool game at Old Trafford. Had we lost that, then heads would have dropped big time. Questions would have been floating left, right, and center. Media would have been out with the daggers. And we know how our legends, unfortunately, are towards our own club. So God knows what kind of statements they would have come out with. So a game that turned the season around would be Liverpool at Old Trafford. The game that was absolutely near to what Erik Ten Hag's philosophy is would be Spurs. I mean, that's what I can say. And the run up to the Arsenal defeat was magnificent. Not to mention the win against Man City and the derby. That was a big fillip as well, and that showed to what Ten Hag actually said in that interview after the drubbing we got at the Etihad. Thanks for the lesson, Pep and City, and that lesson was truly learned. It wasn't one of those sham statements the manager would make, like Mourinho would come out and make a fancy statement just to prove that he's still the special one. So Erik Ten Hag meant it and actually delivered it on the pitch. Beating City well and square at Old Trafford was a great joy. Somewhere what Sachin Bhai says there, because he's mentioned some of those City players, makes sense as well, because right now only Rashford is seeing us through in most of the games. I just hope the likes of Bruno, Weghorst, Anthony start contributing towards the goals, and hopefully Sancho comes back and starts netting a few as well. I'm extremely just going back to what you asked in the previous question, what you asked me, I'm extremely disappointed with Martial. I think he's run his course with United. This summer should be it, and we should move on, and he should move on as well. But Liverpool game turnaround and the Spurs game as near to a Ten Hag philosophy, and the derby win as well. And then the great part is we've taken satisfaction by beating Arsenal at Old Trafford as well. So those 3 or 4 games are somewhere what I would say has got this team going together, has got the confidence back, and it's time to build from here.
I totally agree. I mean, you have the game for every occasion. I think United versus Spurs, like you said, was the game where we turned up, and we turned up so hard that it felt like, this is like you said, as flawless a performance as it comes. The City game, purely from an emotional standpoint, how the fortunes flipped. It's like it's one of those reasons why we love the game so much, and why we love this club so much. Then you talk about the Arsenal game, At that point, again, Arsenal were the team to beat even then, and even now they are the team to beat. And both the times we did give them a fight, and especially in the home leg, we did beat them. Anthony announcing himself with the debut goal, everything there was. So all these games were there, and you beautifully put out like how each game is there. And then you talked about the Liverpool game, which was the catalyst for the change in fortunes that we had. So yeah, 4 games for 4 different. You have a game for all seasons. Part by same question: what according to you is the best game that United have played this season?
I think both the derby games, as Mojosa said, that the Spurs game was absolutely near to perfect as Ten Hag wants to play. But when you are going into a derby, be it Liverpool or be it Manchester City, you are always pumped up. You are always in self doubt that yes, if we are gonna lose this match, then the opponent fans are gonna banter us because they will get the banter rights. So first come to City. We I loved that City match because last season when we go 1-0 down, then there was always a sense that we are going to get 2-0 down or we are going to get 3-0 down so quickly. But in the City match, we fought and we came up. We fought the back and we came up winning the match at 2-1. Second, Liverpool 2-1 match. That was, I think, the lowest point for every United fan. 2 weeks to two losses with a very average teams, Brighton and Brentford, conceding 6 goals, not scoring any goals, only a own goal versus Brighton at Old Trafford. And going into that match versus Liverpool, that has won that a match with Manchester City a few weeks ago. That was a tough match, and everyone was saying that this is not going to happen. We will gonna lose the third match. एंड उसके बाद हम लोग वी विल प्रिपेयर कि हम साउदम्पटन से जीत जाएंगे, लेस्टर से जीत जाएंगे. सो at that time जो performance that we delivered versus Liverpool, that was I think for me was very good. We were winning every aerial duel. We were winning every second balls. We were very good, lethal on the counter attacks. I think we should have done one or two more goals. That I think Elanga missed one goal. He hit it on the post. हम लोग सब लोग टैक्टिक्स को भी हम लोग क्वेश्चन कर रहे थे ईटीएच के बिकॉज रोनाल्डो डिडंट प्ले इन दैट मैच. So we were saying that Ronaldo is not there, and there were many changes. Ilanga was on the starting 11, but ETH proved everyone wrong over there. That he was there and said that okay, I am here. Believe in my tactics. Believe in my methods. I will give you the results. And I think that was the time जब पूरा सीजन का कोर्स आपका एकदम चेंज हो गया, एकदम टर्न अराउंड हो गया because every player was in confidence that we can beat all these big teams, beat Liverpool, beat Arsenal, or be it Manchester City.
Yeah, totally. I think once again it comes out to the fantastic job. You could literally see that the culture has changed in Old Trafford compared to last season to this season, and that is visible in the way that the players are picking up. Uh, Abhijit bhai, your best game that United have played this season, and then I'll say mine.
I think it was Liverpool game. Uh, the way we discovered, you can say you अपने आप में झांक के देखना, you showed the character what we are, and what was needed. Everything. That Liverpool game was the game for me that changed the direction of United. Man, that game was it literally lit up for me. Malaysia pocketing Salah. Martinez showed pushing Salah with shoulder. He was bullying for him. Our forwards literally making Milner and Van Dijk to sleep on the ground to save the saves. Man, that game was really, I was very pumped out in the match because you discovered yourself in that game that you there was a need to reply for the fans that yes, we are here to win, and showed that character in the game. And that game was really turning point for me, for Manchester United to come back and be on the right direction. That game was my best game for me for this season. Even I think that West Ham game was also game, because I think we were short of a player, and we were I think where Dalot and Varane doing that chest bumps, doing, I think, if I'm wrong, please correct me. Doing that, that showed me that grittiness. You were showing the patience in that game. We were just only one nil up in that game, and but with the way we defended in that game, that was also one of the game that I would say we showed some patience, composure in that game. City game and I think Arsenal game were good because we were not at that point. But City game was a very good game, I would say.
All right, so we talked about the games that made a difference, and those are the best games of our season. However, with the highs, there were always the lows, and there were some games that we would like to forget as quickly as possible. And I mean, there were a lot. Before that, I'll tell my game, which was the best game for United. I think unpopular opinion, but I thought that I enjoyed the best game for me was actually the United Arsenal game, which we lost. Uh, I think everyone written us off. The fact that we came out in a game against Palace in midweek, the fixture was out of the blue, out of nowhere. They decided that yeah, let's put a United fixture midweek, and you've seen all of our players. We were downright knackered by the end of that game. Only 2 days there. Casemiro suspended. All the chips were against us, but contrary, we went there and gave a great account of ourselves. And also because it ignited the original rivalry of the Premier League. I think Moses will attest to the fact that United and Arsenal was the rivalry of the Premier League. It was what defined the Premier League for so long. The rivalries between those two sides at their pomp is what the fans used to love. The clash of heavyweights, and I think those were the games that defined generations, and
Right.
it very much defined your generation, and it defined the generations that came after you as well. When I started watching the game, the United Arsenal rivalry was in its gradual decline. So not a lot from my side to talk about. But then looking at this game, I understand why United versus Arsenal is called the original rivalry of the Premier League. None of this Klopp and Pep nonsense where Pep has won 4 Premier Leagues compared to one, and they call it a rivalry. None of this bullshit. It has
Look,
to be
I
United Arsenal.
sorry to interrupt, but this manager thing, Klopp and Pep and whatsoever, that's a so-called recent media build-up. Once you have two managers at it and producing decent football, so it's like Pep versus Klopp. I mean, when Delvin, you say that United and Arsenal were the first so-called rivalry in the Premier League era, but if the two that I could actually define were United and Liverpool, and then United and Arsenal. And the common factor was that United were mostly coming out on top ever since the Premier League started. But these two rivalries, I mean, United Liverpool still mattered when we were shit. Not so much Arsenal United because both were shit. So um, in that respect, I guess next year, uh, God willing, we have new owners and they give the manager some 300-400 million or whatever. He builds the team, and then it's going to be, those rivalries are going to come back.
Exactly. So, Moses, sir, let's talk about the disaster classes. I mean, which was that one game that you'd like to erase out of your memory? Like, don't want it, and you wish it never happened.
Um, I guess for every fan, it would be that City game at Etihad. Um, we yes, we were outplayed, and we were outplayed, well and proper. But I've always maintained, वो था ना, अगर मेरे मौसी के मुँह से होती तो मौसा होता वाली बातें जो होती हैं. So I would say that if in that City game Varane wasn't injured or wasn't lying injured when they scored their second, I believe we would have still lost that game, but it would have been an embarrassment that it actually came out to be.
I I share
Uh,
the same
be-
view. I share the same view. I mean, had Varane been on the pitch, I don't think the second and third goals would have happened.
exactly, because in
Yeah,
the second goal he was lying injured, and the
yes,
third goal happened when he was still getting the treatment on the sidelines.
correct.
So
So yeah,
I mean, we could have lost that game, what, 3-0 or 4-1 or 4-2, but it wouldn't have been a 6. They wouldn't have scored 6, definitely, had Varane stayed fit. So if I could erase one game, it would be that. If I could erase any other game, and I would say it was an absolute diabolical situation to be in, was Brentford. You cannot go to Brentford and be 4-0 down before halftime. This is just, oh man, it's just like nightmare unfolding. Or Tab say, I think ever since we've played in that fucking horrible green kit, we've never played well. Who did we play against? Who did we play against after the Brentford? Brentford के बाद हम किससे खेले थे उस kit में? Did we play
I
against
think
Villa
we
in that?
played. No, we played
Southampton.
against Southampton, but we won the game. We won the
Okay, we
game.
won the game. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So no, I mean, if I could erase two, then it would be City and Brentford. Against Brighton, the first game we just didn't turn up. It was just a Manchester United with a new manager playing like they played under Ralph Rangnick. So it's just absolutely nothing there. No passion, no desire, no drive. Enthu ki मतलब पहला game of the season. Let's try and turn this around. Let's try and do something about
It was
ourselves.
the second game. It was the second game of the season.
No, I'm talking about Brighton.
Brighton, the opening
Okay,
game.
okay.
Brighton at Old Trafford was such a drab affair. Just going through the motions like we used to
It's
last
very
season.
stodgy. It was very stodgy. Absolutely
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
And the Aston Villa game, I expected us not to get much because एक तो उनका new manager bounced था, and secondly,
had to be the only manager who had a good record against us as well. So yeah.
good ebbing or good ebbing, whatever that fucking idiot. But no, we were tired. We were tired, and I somehow get the feel that was a game before Fulham, right? The Aston Villa game.
It was the game before West Ham and Fulham. So there were two games
Okay.
before. And
So to a certain extent, I would say players were beginning to get a little circumspect about keeping themselves fit for the national sides for the World Cup. So कुछ वो effort हो सकता है, कुछ tiredness हो सकती है. But yeah, I mean, you asked me for one game. I've listed all the 4 losses. Sorry. So no, the City game hurt the most.
Yeah, totally. And Parth Bhai, what about you? What was your pick for the worst game of the season?
I think it's quite obvious that the City game as well as the Brentford game was quite horrible. But my opinion is a little bit slightly different. That the game of Europa League versus Real Sociedad, that was not a penalty in which we lost 1-0, and that is costing us 2 more matches in a very hectic schedule. I have just read a comment of Kushagra saying that we will be playing 10 matches in the span of 30 days, which is not good for a team which doesn't have a quite big bench strength. So I think that match costed us very, very, very much, and that was a very dead match. That was a 0-0 draw, and no one deserved any goal in that match, but I don't think that was a penalty at all. Secondly, coming to City match, yes, they totally outplayed us, but my views are also the same that if Varane was on the pitch, they won't have scored 6 goals. They would have been scoring 2, 3, or 4 goals. They would be have beaten us, but not that big of a margin. And the third loss, that Brentford loss, 4-0 loss, scoring 4 goals inside 35 minutes, it's quite disastrous. You are out of the game inside 30-35 minutes. It's embarrassment, nothing else.
Abhijit bhai, same question to you. Your worst game of this season?
I think it was Brentford game. I was totally, I want to forget that game. City game was it was just showing mirror for us that what we lacked and what a quality team and what a progressing team was. That just what if we think it emotionally, then definitely I agree with Mojo sir and Parth. Definitely that was the way. But Brentford game was totally bad game for us.
I agree. For me, also Brentford was bad. I mean, it's the way that they literally cut us into pieces. I mean, they literally. I still.
Gave
It's
gave up.
been. yeah, it's been 5 months since that game has happened, and I still don't have words to describe how dreadful and how diabolical we were in that game. Uh, the fact that Lisandro Martinez was substituted at halftime and not Harry Maguire speaks volumes about how comical and how absurd that game was. So, I mean, let's keep it after that. And before we wind up, Moses sir, what are your expectations for the second half of the season?
Uh, First and foremost, I hope by the end of February or March we get new owners. That
Okay.
is absolutely essential, because if these jokers stay around any longer, trust you me,
We'll be
I don't know,
broke.
we could be
Broke.
feeding on vapors as far as new signings are concerned. And if those financial statements are really true, that there was only about 27 million left in the bank, then you barely have enough money or enough cash to run the club till February or March. Beyond that, either they put money from their own pocket, or God forbid, all hell breaks loose. So I don't think it's going to come to that. I mean, if the Glazers let it get so embarrassing that there isn't enough money to run the club, the fuckers are not going to get 5 billion. उनको तो 2 billion कोई नहीं देगा. So they'll try and ensure that there's enough cash to run the club. But we need new owners. So that's my big hope it happens ASAP. But if you were to talk about right here, right now, I just hope, like they have got Weghorst, I just hope they find. Well, I was expecting something like Indian Idol to come in, man. Great, absolutely. Thank you, admin. But yeah, Ajit bhai, please go on a song night now. Um, तेरे जैसा यार कहाँ. So so right here, right now, if there is an interesting loan deal to be done for a midfielder, that'll help, because Kushagra, you sing for us. I almost read that us as an ass. ठीक से लिखा कर यार. So 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 if right here, right now, I would say get a midfielder, man. Van der Beek getting injured is a big loss. And like we discussed in the previous streams, Fred and McTominay are like a dropper from a top of a cliff to a fucking bottom of a sea. So right here, right now, please get a midfielder. By Feb or March, let's get new owners and let's rebuild the club like we believe has to be done in the right footballing ethos. As far as the footballing side is concerned, I think we have Sancho, Dalot to come back. And if anything was to happen with Martial, if he was to stay fit and find his form, that'll be an added bonus. But man, what linking play has Weghorst done in last two games has been very commendable, and his defending side of his game has been very commendable as well. So yeah, I mean, he's been a decent enough a signing right now. For all the people who keep saying it's a graveyard shift, that'll come. The crosses will come over time. He will score from those crosses. I just hope Garnacho builds from where he is right now. And yeah, I mean, fingers crossed, man. So far, Eric Ten Hag has done it very intelligently as far as rotating the squad is concerned. These 30 days are going to test his mettle, his skills as a manager to the complete fore. And that one midfielder would be a big fillip for him. So, yeah, one midfielder, new owners, and a few players who are missing come back, and we have a better squad depth. Sancho would add to that, Dalot would add to that, Martial would add to that, and hopefully the likes of Garnacho grow so that they are better options. So that is what I'm looking forward to the next half of the season.
Yeah, like Gaurav says, there are certain midfield options that we could look for. Hakim Ziyech being one of them. Gravenberch could be another option. Yeah, a lot of options, but if they're coming on loan, that would be the only way that would get them at this point.
We can only sign them on loan. We don't have. I mean, We don't have the money to bring in any new players. You owe 307 million to other clubs for the signings that you've done for the last 3 years. मतलब भगवान मुझे
Exactly.
ऐसा कोई मुझे कोई ऐसा क्रेडिट कार्ड दे दे यार, मैं तो मजा आ जाएंगे मेरे तो। मतलब 3 साल से पैसे ही नहीं दे रहे हम लोगों को, और दे भी रहे तो इतना डिफर्ड पेमेंट कर दिया दैट पता नहीं। वी हैवंट फकिंग क्लियर्ड Mourinho's bills so far. Can you believe this?
And he's gone what,
This summer,
4 years, 5 years now? Yeah.
this summer is going to be the last paycheck you're going to pay to Mourinho. Can you believe that? And the worst part is, हम सोचते तो हैं कि भाई it's been delayed, ठीक है, we have to give him 5 million a year. Those settlement clauses include an interest payment on those payments as well. मतलब मजाक बना के रखा हुआ है यार. Are you trying to tell me that if, for example, right, and this is a fact the way it's done, for example, we go and sign Anthony for 85 million, right? 85 million में होता क्या है? 25 million get to Ajax straight up in cash, or probably they get entire 85 million because they are deferred payment instruments that United signs with its bank, not by Ajax's bank, not by anybody else. So they go to, say, for example, my bank is ABC, so I go to ABC and tell them, look, I want to pay Ajax 85 million, and I will pay you over 5 years. So that 85 million over the 5 years is also yielding interest. So you're not only paying interest on the debt you have, you're also paying interest on the 307 million you owe to other clubs from the last 4 years of signings, or to your sacked managers. The only manager who was paid a complete settlement in the first time, in that first full and final settlement, was Oli. Your Louis Van Gaal got settled in 3 years. Mourinho का अभी तक चल रहा है. So it's like crazy, man. That's why I say we need new owners. We need to get out of our debt, and we need to sort this thing out from the scratch. Get new players. I mean, I personally believe Eric Ten Hag needs approximately 6 to 7 new players to make this a team that can actually challenge for some trophies, if not the Premier League title. You need two in midfield. You need two strikers. You need two centre backs. You need one right back. And the reason why I say you need centre backs is because look at this. Look at the situation now. By the time this season is over, United could have been playing approximately 64 games if we get to the finals of all the tournaments that we're trying to win. 64 games. You need a better centre back backup partnership than Maguire and Lindelof. So we need two there. We need one right back. We need two in the midfield, and we need two strikers. Because let's be honest, Martial ain't cooking for you for 64 games. And Weghorst, if he turns around to be one of those brilliant signings, we might sign him for 3 or 4 million. But you still need a more competent guy for the kind of side that Eric Ten Hag is trying to build.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Each and every point that you said hits the hammer on what we want to expect from this side in the coming years or so. Partha, what are your expectations for this season now that the second half is going to start with the fixture congestion? What are your realistic expectations of the second half of the season?
First of all, we have won 3-0 against Nottingham Forest. I think we are going to Wembley. So, first of all, a trophy, EFL Cup. Then second, top four. That I think we will be cementing in the next few games. Then I think that yes, new owners are very much important, because if we are done with new owners at the time of March or April, they will get the time to sign new players, and they will be ready to spend more money, because they need to get that fans behind them, as Todd Bowley is doing in Chelsea. They will spend more and more. They can bring two or three quality signings and 5 6 total signings, and I feel that yes, not a very disastrous season. Like I don't think that United will lose the plot from here, that they will go on losing 2-0 3-0 to the lower ranked teams, or they will be thrown out of the top four. But yes, a decent season with a top four, with a EFL Cup, and I think a longer run in Europa League and FA League, considering the fact that United's record against Spanish teams are not that good. We are playing Barcelona 2 match the next month, so it will be a tough challenge. But I think that we should do well in all the competitions.
Totally
And
agree. Totally agree.
Delvin, if I could add, what Parth said about signing new players and new owners spending money like Chelsea owners are. I hope they don't go that way. Because Chelsea का तो अभी वो हो रहा है जैसे सब्जी मंडी में जाके भाजी तरकारी खरीद रहे हैं भाई, वो फ्री का धनिया भी दे दे और 4 किलो के आलू भी दे दे, पता नहीं क्या क्या करे जा रहे हैं वो.
नहीं
So
नहीं,
they're
वो
all over
तो
the place.
मैनेजर्स पूछ ही नहीं रहे. They
हाँ,
are
वो
not
that's
considering
exactly
the
what I'm saying.
manager's ways.
So
But Ten Hag जब आया
as
था,
far
he came. Sorry to
as far
interrupt
as
you,
I
but
am aware, what
हाँ,
Ten Hag would do is the new owners come in. Ten Hag would possibly, and because he's going to be needing a young striker, so that's probably going to cost you 70 or 80 million pounds. Beyond that, I think Eric Ten Hag is smart enough to know the European market. He's going to probably get players at about 35, 40, 45 million and turn them into turn them into good players who eventually, if you do want to sell, you either recover what you bought them for or probably make a small profit. But he's not going to go like Woodward. What we can do in transfer market, other players, other clubs can only dream of. What a bloody crap statement! मतलब क्या क्या कर दिया साले ने. But Chelsea are a nightmare. Chelsea are जिसको आर्सेनल हाथ रख दे या यूनाइटेड से लिंक हो जाए तो उनको तो वो खरीदना ही खरीदना है. It's like crazy what they're doing, and I think uh, you if you speak to Chelsea fans, they'll tell you this as well, that their transfer strategy is all over the place. They don't know what they're buying. They don't know what are they buying with players for. It's just that signing kar lo, and maybe the fans are going to be happy about it. Graham Potter is going to be sacked. Trust you me. Before the season goes out, he's going to be sacked. He just doesn't have the players that he wants. He's just being thumped the players upon. कि भाई ये हम sign करके लाए, बस इसको खिला लो. So I don't think Eric Ten Hag is going to go that way. He needs a good striker, young striker, so that's going to cost a lot of money. But apart from that, I think Eric Ten Hag is street smart enough to get very effective and very good technical players in about 35 to 45, 50 million bracket, and we'll get about 6 or 7 of them.
And I think that should be the way to go. One marquee signing and the other signings who will be used to plug specific holes in the squad. I think that should be the ideal way to approach things. But then with United, nothing is ideal. So that's a pipe dream as of now. So hopefully it is the norm rather than the exception in the years to come by. Abhijit bhai, what are your expectations for the rest of the season? And then we'll wrap up.
I think the EFL Cup, we have the great opportunity to win it. So if we win, then it will definitely boost our confidence to go in this month and grab those opportunity, and we will be in the top, in the top four position. Second, I don't expect any players to be injured in this 2-3 months, because they are very vital and very crucial for us to cement that top four position. Uh, you know, Apart from Rashford, I want to see other players scoring the goals, assisting the, making up the marks. I expect Sancho, I expect Martial, Vegas, Bruno, Ericsson to score some goals, so that some making that offload from we depending on Rashford to score the goals. So I expect them to take up that responsibility. I even expect Maguire to take some responsibility and perform some decent games where we need him. We can't rely on Martinez and Varane at all the time. So I need that some kind of responsibility from Maguire. Even I expect David there to come up front and save that set pieces and do some saves, not to sit on the back post. So uh, I even expect Casemiro to not to get injured and not jinxing for it for now. But I hope, and last and the low, utmost, we need a proper owner who knows to run the football club. We need owners who can just run the club well. That's it. We need some good people in on the top, so that we understand the football and do some great business, and we bring back that era what we were what was the Manchester United left there.
Totally agree with you, Avijit bhai. And with this, we come to the end of the stream. It's been great talking to you guys about how the season has panned out so far. Uh, Pretty interesting opinions, pretty different opinions, and a lot of common ground as well. So all in all, we are very positive and we are excited of what is going to come in the months that we have in store for us. Some big games, big competitions, and a lot at stake for this club. Ten Hag has brought us in the right direction, and it is up to the club and up to the players to make sure that they support the manager to continue going in the right path. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being a part of the stream, making it much more interactive and making it much more descriptive about it. Your 2 cents, your opinions were very good, and it helps us get more better by every single day. And at the end of the day, this content is for you so that you get more interactive with us. It isn't a stream without you guys. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for coming in and tuning in this late. Do show us your love. Keep continuing to support us on YouTube. You can like, share, subscribe. And apart from that, we are also active on our socials, on Twitter, on Instagram. Do give us a follow there. I say this on every stream. Every day is match day on our official WhatsApp group. You do not want to miss a chance to join that and be part of daily updates, whether it's match day or whether it's not. Apart from that, there is also a website where you can go in and get an immersive fan experience. Predictor contest, FPL contest, where Mojo sir has not changed his team for the past 11 weeks and he's still getting 60 to 65 points a week. If only we were as fortunate as Mojo sir, we wouldn't have to change our teams like he does. But all in all, great stream. Thank you so much for joining in. This is Delvin along with Mojo sir, Path Bhai and Avjit Bhai wishing everyone goodbye. Do take care of yourselves and we shall see you very soon. Till then, it's goodbye.
Take care, guys.
Thank you so much.
Glory, man.